Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And patch 12.0.5 has not gone as planned, and a lot of players are up in arms with the bugs, the current class balance, and we're going to have to see what it is that Blizzard has presented to us, because this class tuning was not planned. On May 5th, there is upcoming class adjustments for the game as a whole. So I'm very curious to see what they've got here, because I think that this is going to be very important in terms of holding personal player sentiment and either getting people who unsubscribe to resubscribe back, or holding on to the players that are crossing their fingers hoping that there's going to be some hope for the future. Hashtag Shadow Priests, likely. But if you want to make sure you stay up to date with news related to World of Warcraft, educational and entertaining content, then make sure to smash that subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. So as I said, these changes will be going live on May 5th. For Death Knight, we do see a buff to Frost Death Knights, but not in PvP, and I think that is a wise decision. But in PvE, you'll be receiving a 5% buff. For Unholy Death Knight, they are saying that it's performing better than intended after recent bug fixes. This is worrisome. Magus of the Dead Shadow Bolts are being reduced by 15%, but not in PvP. This is a good catch, because I don't think Unholy DK is actually doing too well in PvP right now. So if these nerfs went through in PvP, that would have been really bad. Graveyard damage is being reduced by 15%, but not in PvP. This probably means you want to run your keys with a DK this week as well, because I did a key with a DK last night. I was getting like 600k DPS. I think that's going to be a lot lower. Riders of the Apocalypse White Mane's Epidemics damage is being reduced by 25%, but not in PvP. Riders of the Apocalypse Trollbane's Ice Fury damage is being reduced by 25%, but does not affect PvP. They've got 2 Ds on the does. Sand Lane Thrill of the Blood now increases the damage of Dread Plague and Virulent Plague by 10%, up from 5. So they're doing a little bit of a hero tree rebalance, as well as lowering your damage overall, and maybe trying to even you out with Frost. And this is all aimed at Mythic Plus tuning, likely, right? Because Unholy DK is pretty much in every single meta composition. So a lot of this top side of the changes, I think, is focused around Mythic Plus with MDI around the corner. Devour Demon Hunter is not going unscathed. The 3% guy is back. He's reducing your damage by 3% for Devour overall. And Annihilator is getting targeted. Voidfall Meteor damage is being reduced by 12%. And Annihilator Meteoric Rise damage bonus to Void Ray is being reduced by 15 to 10. So Annihilator tree targeted, I think, pretty light overall, honestly. Just trying to rebalance your hero tree. I think that Devour still, at least in Mythic Plus, comes out completely unscathed. For Vengeance, oh my god, they're acknowledging some of the tanks. This is all you're getting, though, is a little bit more armor. It's going up from 150% to 185%. It's not nothing, especially with how squishy you were. But if there were any other mechanical pain points with your class, this is not going to address it. This is just like a kind of a quick little tune-up. My goodness, what are they doing to my poor Guardian Druid in Mythic Plus? Guardian Druids have continued to overperform in single target context while experiencing difficulties with threat and sustained damage outside of cooldowns. Okay. I didn't think I was doing insane in single target, but there's a lot of things in there that I actually like. With these changes, we're aiming to reduce burst potential and transfer some of that power into more reliable and consistent abilities that aid in generating threat. Are they going to buff Swipe? So they're nerfing Wild Guardian Echo effectiveness. That's a huge nerf. I think you're just going to play the Elun's Chosen hero tree. They're nerfing Red Moon. Okay, that must be where the single target was coming from. They're nerfing Maul by 15%. They're nerfing Raise damage by 15%. And they are nerfing Ravage damage by 15%. So this is a huge targeted nerf at the Druids. I'm spacing out on the name of the hero talent tree, but not Elun's Chosen, basically. They are, though, buffing Thrash direct damage by 200% and its bleed damage by 100%. So you're going to get a lot of sustained AoE, which is pretty decent, but your single target's coming down pretty hard. And you're probably going to see a hero tree swap as a result of this. Like, there's just so many nerfs targeting that ability specifically. It still doesn't address Swipe. And what are they doing about threat? I guess this is just going to be where the threat... The thing is, this is a huge threat loss. Usually the first Maul you use is like the main thing that generates the threat, and it's getting nerfed like multiple times, and that's assuming these aren't bugged. Also, like in double dip applied or something. And now I'm worried about that whenever a patch comes out. Like, is this gonna like triple dip on Maul because these are different names of the same ability? Hopefully not. I was kind of hoping Swipe was gonna get something like threat generation increased on Swipe, so I'd actually put it on my action bar. This could be pretty bad overall though for Guardian. For Restoration Druids, they nerfed you by 3%, but not in PvP. Resto Druid is, again, like top performing healer in Mythic Plus. Everbloom heals for 20 to 40% of Lifebloom's final heal, down from 25 to 50, but not in PvP. So again, just a very light touch here. Very light. Much like Devour, I don't think this does too much to completely destroying your viability in Mythic Plus, and obviously it does nothing to PvP. We'll have to see if there's PvP changes down below. Augmentation is not going unscathed. They're nerfing all of your damage and your pet damage. They had to include that as well, your little extra bonus dragons by 5%. They fixed an issue where Inferno's Blessing damage was not properly modified by the specialization's baseline passive. Inferno's Blessing spell damage coefficient has been adjusted to compensate, so its effective damage will only be changed per the above adjustment. I don't know if that means it's a nerf or a buff. That sounds like a nerf. Scale Commander fixed an issue where bombardment damage was not properly modified by the specialization's baseline passives. See what I'm talking about? Like these types of bugs, like none of your passives were affecting the ability. Bombardment's damage calculations have been adjusted to compensate. So I think the goal is either this is just it stays the same and nothing changes, I guess. Effective damage will be unchanged for Devastation and only reduced by 5% for Augmentation. So that's the goal, is that this doesn't have any change to your class. It's just a bug fix with no change, and then they nerfed you 5%. Okay. Beast Mastery Hunter. They buffed your damage on you and your pets by 4%, but not in PvP. Again, I think that was wise not to do in PvP. And BM Hunter was on, a little bit on the lower side, so nice for Mythic Plus balance. For Marksmanship Hunter, they're buffing Rapid Fire by 20%, but not in PvP. They are letting you get the Explosive Shot buff in PvP by 100%. That's probably smart because it does nothing. I don't even know if 100% would even make it do anything. So, I mean, this is fine that they're letting that go through. And I think this is good that they're letting this go through as well for Arcane Shot. The multi-shot doesn't matter in PvP, but in PvE it's nice. And then Steady Shot is also getting a 100% damage buff. Again, Steady Shot and Explosive are pretty low. So even though it says 100, that might not like come out as too big of a deal overall. So we'll kind of have to wait and see if that really ends up affecting it or not. But now we've got Frost. We got Shatter damage being reduced to the primary target by 6%. Bug fixes last week to Hand of Frost and Flurry provided a meaningful damage increase to Frost. This change is primarily intended to offset the boost from those fixes. Oh, so you ended up getting more damage with those changes accidentally. So this is just bringing you back where you were before 12.0.5. And you're still probably insane damage, but kind of squishy in Mythic Plus. I'll have to see the PvP. This seems really just Mythic Plus focused on the top side of things. I would imagine there's a PvP section, but Mythic Plus needed a lot of attention, so I think this is good. Brewmaster, here we go. Are you finally getting gutted? High Tolerance will refund 2 to 4 seconds of Purifying Brews cooldown when cast at elevated stagger instead of 3 to 6. So you're not going to get Purifying Brews frequently to remove your, what's it called when it builds up, your stagger or whatever. Zen State increases stagger effectiveness by 15% based on missing health. So they're targeting the main ability that's making you better than every other tank, which is your stagger. Although it's a very light touch, 5% in an extra second. It's a very light touch, but it's targeting the major thing. So a light touch on the big thing is a big deal, right? 1% reduction in 1,000,000 is a big deal as opposed to a 100% increase of 1. It's completely different. So this could shift possibly. I'm not guaranteeing it, but it could shift it possibly. Holy Paladin, they're getting buffed. Oh my god, Internal Flame, Word of Glory, and Light of Dawn. 15% across the board, and you're getting those in PvP too. So you probably want to be Herald of the Sun in PvP at least. PvE, I don't know, but you're at least getting something, which is better than nothing. And I've actually enjoyed playing with Paladins and Mythic Plus keys that I've done. Protection Paladins are also getting more durable with more base armor. So we see armor increases to try and help out with the high key levels, and then the mechanics of Brewmaster trying to even out that durability, which I think is the right direction. I don't know if these numbers will be exactly on the money, but I think it is the right direction. Discipline Priest, developer's notes. Our goal here is to slightly rein in Atonement's healing contribution in raid environments while keeping it effective in smaller group content. This is good that they're considering both environments separately. I think they have to do that, at least in a special niche cases like this. Atonement damage transfer is being increased to 30%, up from 28%, but not in PvP. And Atonement healing now decays more rapidly beyond 5 targets. So that's a big nerf for raid, but it keeps you viable in Mythic Plus. That's a nice adaptation to it, I think. For example, when healing 20 injured allies with Atonement, it would previously be reduced by 50. With the new scaling, it's reduced by 60. I think this is a nice tuning adjustment for them to deal with like big multi-target versus small group content, because there's a couple of interactions like that on a few classes, like Tranquility and Healing Tide Totem. I think that's a good way about going about it without completely gutting you out of Mythic Plus. For Holy Priests, you're also getting a 6% healing buff, but not in PvP. It's just giving you a little bit. I don't know if a Holy... I've seen some priests they're really liking it. I mean, it's better than nothing. I think you're probably still, at least in Mythic Plus, maybe not too insane. For Outlaw Rogue, 5% damage buff, but not in PvP, thank God. Thank God. Trickster, Cloud Cover primary and secondary target reduced to 6 seconds, down from 10. And Cloud Cover now causes phase to stack 1 additional time. These are big nerfs to Trickster. No Scruples crit chance bonus increased to 12 though, up from 10. Additional stacks of phased granted by Cloud Cover no longer increase the magnitude of secondary effects, such as the damage reduction from the smoke talent. So trying to give you like some overall sustain with like the 5% increase and nerf the burst window of Trickster, the cloud window. So those will be felt like a nerf in PvP. I don't know if it'll be felt like a nerf or not in PvE, because I don't know if burst versus sustain, how important. It kind of is important on big pack pulls. It's again, I'm just nerfing the high end spike, trying to nerf that with these interactions, but still keep you at a decent level. Subtlety Rogue is getting a 7% damage buff, but not in PvP. Again, I think that's smart. And they're doing a similar thing with the Trickster. Cloud Cover primary and secondary duration reduced to 6 from 10. Trickster, No Scruples crit chance up to 12 from 10. Additional stacks of phase granted by Cloud Cover no longer increase the magnitude of secondary targets, such as the damage reduction from smoke talent. So for Enhancement Shaman, oh my god, Enhancement Shaman is on this? Okay. Enhancement Shaman has been underperforming in both Raid and Mythic Plus. They're acknowledging you guys. With these changes, we're aiming to increase their throughput to help Stormbringer catch up to Totemic. We're also resolving a bug which would have a negative impact on performance, so we're watching the results carefully. They're buffing you by 5%. They're buffing your auto attack further by 10%. They resolved an issue with Thorm's Invocation to cast Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, and Tempest with more effectiveness than intended when cast below 10 Maelstrom. So it's going to be less if you're casting at that Maelstrom. Stormbringer Natural Gift now increases nature damage by 6% up from 2. Stormbringer Voltaic Surge now increases damage of Crash Lightning and Chain Lightning by 20 up from 10. That's some nice cleave, nice AoE. Nice little tune-up. I don't know if it's enough for in PvE to switch your hero build. I don't see a lot of enhancements in my groups for Mythic Plus. So in PvP, though, this is going to be, I think, pretty nice. Because you do play Stormbringer there. Although I guess you do play Totemic as well. I think this is pretty nice. Affliction is actually getting buffed, and they're going through in PvP. Unstable Affliction got a 20% buff. Seed of Corruption 10% buff. Corruption 20% buff, but it will not affect Wither. Agony a 10% buff. Big dot buffs. They're not nerfing Demo though. I don't know if this is enough for you to get up to where Demo is. Might be. Definitely, I feel like if I was Mythic Plus Avlok, I'd be more excited to try that out at least. And in PvP too, and we haven't even gotten to the PvP section of this. Hopefully there is one. I feel like I'm scrolling pretty close to the bottom of this. For Warrior, these tuning changes are aimed at improving Warrior performance overall, as well as compensating for damage lost due to the Deep Wounds bug fixed last week. We will continue to monitor Warrior performance and make further adjustments. 20% execute damage, 20% overpower damage, 40% Slayer strike damage, and 30% Reap the Storm damage. Okay, Arms Warriors, I think you're back. If you were even gone to begin with. Fury Warrior got a 5% buff and a 20% execute buff, 20% Raging Blow buff, 40% Slayer strike damage buff. Dude, every AWC competitor that plays a Warrior is sad this isn't live right now, because like, what? That's completely meta changing. And we haven't even gotten to the PvP section. Slayer reaped the storm damage by 30%. And I think Warrior was really underperforming in Mythic Plus, but I don't know if Arms was necessarily. This is a big shakeup. Mountain Thane ground current damage increased by 50%. Fury is back. Prot Warrior is getting a 20% execute buff. And Mountain. Oh my god, Prot Warrior in PvP is going to be disgusting with this. 30% Thunderblast damage and 50% ground current. I don't know. Was Prot durable enough to survive at high key levels? Because if it was, I mean, this nice AoE damage on Mountain Thane here for Protection Warrior. Overall, all these changes targeting pretty much everything that I've seen has been pretty egregious, except maybe Demonology Warlock, and they've been very light on Devourer and very light maybe possibly on Brewmaster, but they seem solid. They seem like it's a pulse on issues. Bit worried about these Warrior changes leaking over a bit on PvP, depending on what they've done. Now we're in the PvP section, and there is a PvP section. The pace of PvP combat is a little too fast now, resulting in quick kills from burst damage. We're increasing player health in PvP to slow this down and give players more time to react. So they're buffing stamina by 5%, and they're nerfing the embellishment. My god, like, this is going to make the game fast, though, because that embellishment absorbs a lot. We see it on every tournament team. Although you don't see a lot on the ladder, because you have to do Mythic Plus to get Mythic Crest to make it. But games would end almost immediately without this, I think, in tournaments. This is a big deal as to why so like the stamina going up is great, but we have to see what else is going on. For Devourer's ability to burst enemies down is too high. They're nerfing Void Surge damage. So we saw Annihilator get nerfed above. They're getting overall nerfed, and they're nerfing Void Surge damage. So that big window where they burst you with all the like empowered predators wakes abilities and start AoEing you. I don't have a lot of experience on Devourer to know if that's enough in and itself. Also, the dangers of increasing stamina and not nerfing healing at the same time, bit worried about it. But although they didn't increase it by a huge amount. For Boomkin, Balanced Druid is performing reasonably well, with the notable exception of Star Surge feeling underwhelming. We're increasing Star Surge damage to give Boomkin more opportunities. 18% Star Surge damage. I mean, Resto Druids crit 120k Star Surges, man. My Star Surges hit 33k. So, I mean, this is nice. It's not nothing. It's nice. They are nerfing BM Hunter by 3%. Very, very light touch on BM Hunter. I think you guys are fine. What are they going to do to Marksman? We reduced Marksmanship's damage in a hotfix, but the changes were too aggressive. We're pulling back some of the reductions in overall damage to bring Marksman up to a reasonable spot. So Black Arrow is going up 11%, and all damage is going up 5%, and the changes up above are also going in. I think Marks is pretty revived after that. Although it depends. I don't know if 5% stamina is enough to completely, like slow the game down. We don't see any like individual tailoring on like cooldowns. It's just overall damage in most cases. For Arcane is behind other mage specializations, so we're increasing the damage of some of their core spells. These are the more difficult spells to fully channel, so we'd like them to feel more rewarding. So they're buffing Arcane Blast and Missiles. Is this enough to actually not play the Orb Span build? 15%? Maybe. It'd be cool if Arcane was actually threatening with free casting Arcane Blasts. I don't know if 15% is enough. It's not nothing, but I don't know if it's enough. They're very light here on Mage. I don't see them targeting the mass invisibility PvP talent. I was really hoping they were going to remove it from Fire and Frost. Don't see them targeting that. For Fire, particularly Sun Fury, it's able to deal significant burst damage during combustion. That's good, acknowledging the cooldown window. We'd like to reduce that with the caveat that casting Fireball should still feel rewarding. So they're nerfing Pyroblast, but they're buffing Fireball by 80%. Sun Fury Codex of the Sunstrider now increases spell damage during combustion by 1%, down from 2. I think that's a good change. Bit worried about the Pyro nerf like outside of combust, but like, is this big? Are we just going to see mages just sitting there just like Destro locks? I don't know if 80% is enough to do that. It might be. For Frost, you're not going unscathed. You are getting a 10% Ray of Frost nerf, which is kind of bad. Like, if Ray of Frost doesn't do enough damage to kill the target, I don't know how good Frost actually is. With the 5% stamina bump, again, that's not that big. But if it hits the threshold where Ray isn't actually like lethal execution, Frost might be significantly weaker. But this seems really light, honestly, on Fire and Frost. Brewmaster's catching strays. You're randomly just getting your nerf damage by 15%. I hope Prot Paladin does too. It looks like you might be. Holy Paladins, you're getting those buffs up above, and you're getting some extra mana. You're getting 10% more mana regeneration. That's nice for PvP healer balance. For Prot Paladin, Templar Divine Exaction now causes Divine Toll to cast 2 additional times at 75% effectiveness, down from 150. This is good as well. Prot Paladin was, I guarantee, S tier. It was disgustingly good. So they're aware of the tanks, and they're not letting all of them at least get away here. For Shadow Priest, hey, Shadow Priest is up here. Shadow Priest's consistent damage over time is quite effective, but their single target spells are lower than intended. We're increasing Shadow Word Madness and Mind Blast damage to make you more bursty. So Shadow Word Madness is 25% increase, and Mind Blast and Void Blast are 20% increased. It's nice. I don't know if it's enough. Again, it's kind of like the Boomkin one, where it's like, with those abilities weren't really hitting that hard, so this maybe. Outlaw Rogue, developers notes, outlaw damage ended up being quite high after the recent adjustments, particularly between the eyes. With patch 12.0.5, we're reducing that along with reductions to cloud cover for both PvE and PvP, which we saw above with the cloud cover. But they're additionally nerfing between the eyes by 15%, as well as all damage by 5%. Okay, Outlaw is getting put in its place quite significantly, but Subtlety is still there, so you guys are just going to play Subtlety. Resto Shaman is actually getting something too. You're getting a 10% Healing Wave buff and a 15% Riptide. Okay, that's good. Good for the healer balance. Good, very good for the healer balance. Destro Lock is getting a 5% damage increase as well in PvP. And then with the stamina increase, nerfs to BM Hunter, nerfs to Outlaw, you might have a little bit more chance at surviving in some of these instances, which is also a buff to Destro. It's like a buff to all the lock specs. Affliction is like the bit. I think Affliction is the one you want to really consider. It's so crazy because all these AWC teams are going to qualify, and how many of them even have a Warlock? Like Mercy, I think. Like all the Warlocks have been just sitting on the bench. Afflock might legitimately be strong. I think these are kind of light in a lot of cases, like pretty light. I don't know if this shifts the one-shots, like, entirely. You know what I mean? Like, Frosty K Pillar of Frost is still in here. Honestly, Marksmanship one-shot with True Shot might be back with this. This might be, like, this is definitely looking at the right ability to bring it down. The healer balance changes are nice, though. The healer balance changes for sure are nice, and that's important for queue times. And I think the 5% stamina, it's not nothing. But this removal actually makes the game faster. At least at tournament level. At ladder, nobody plays with that. Interesting changes. I think it's definitely, I think if you play some specs that were lesser represented, like Warrior Mythic Plus and Enhance and stuff like that, I think you should be pretty excited for the reset. Pretty solid overall. I would have liked like more like niche things in PvP as well, like the mass invisibility thing with Fire and Frost. But it's definitely better than nothing. It's definitely a lot better than nothing, because my God, I think people were definitely considering, uninstalling given the patch release and then the tuning result of bugs and other things after that. So this was 100% needed. I think it's decent overall. I think this is decent overall. Considering a huge array of different content all at the same time. Personally, I can't imagine balancing the game, because you have to consider so many different scenarios: solo content, raid, Mythic Plus, BGs, arena. Like, maybe if you're even thinking about dueling, the fact that you have to consider all of those things simultaneously. So some major changes here. Obviously gonna have to update my tier list, because this is probably the most shift that I think we're gonna see, but I think it's probably still gonna be fast, is my only concern, because we didn't see a lot of like cooldown specific adjustments. I'm not sure if 5% stamina is enough or not, but we'll have to see. Anyways, thank you guys very much for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.